So the first myth is that Super Hero Gohan is weaker than the Buu Saga Gohan. Now this is actually more interesting than it might look at first, because the whole point of Super Hero is that Gohan is, you know, pretty washed up, doesn't train all that much anymore, and can't even reach his ultimate form or anywhere near the power that he used to have because he's busy researching ants or whatever. So theoretically, Buu Saga Gohan that has full control of his power, you know, should be better than some of the forms. Obviously not Beast. Beast is obviously stronger, but the other forms of Gohan, you know, Buu Saga Gohan should be pretty strong. So if you attack with base Super Hero Gohan, you can see on the left there it does 390. Now that stat is calculated from a few different things. It's the character you're using their attack, but also the defense of the character you're hitting. For all the research purposes, Yamcha's the punching bag like he should be. So base Gohan Super Hero does 390, which is about the average that most 4-cost characters do. Buu Saga Gohan, which is also a 4-cost character, does 390 as well. Again, it's basically the average, although it is not completely determined on cost, so I don't want you to think that every 4-cost does the same damage. Characters like Vegeta actually do 351 per hit. I think King Cold does 446. It isn't dependent on like the story arc or the cost. The cost matters like the range of the damage, but it doesn't determine it. But what's still interesting is that both Gohans at base form do the exact same damage, even though one is, you know, washed up and hasn't trained for a while. Now if we go Super Saiyan with it, see the cool animation, then we do bump it up a lot. We start doing 476, which is pretty interesting. You know, it's a lot more damage, makes sense. He has his Super Saiyan form back. And if we do the exact same thing with Buu Saga Gohan, you see we also do 476. So they're the exact same. Also, if you're curious about damage, even though this isn't directly related to it, the boost for Super Saiyan 2 is only 20. I found out that like one transformation usually buffs you a lot, and then the other are kind of like relatively small. And then if we take Ultimate Gohan from the Buu Saga, you know, when Gohan was at his strongest, basically, you see that we do about 488 per hit, which is, you know, slightly stronger than Super Saiyan, but we're not going to talk about that power scale, and that's just, it's a video game, you know, they need to be somewhat balanced. Meanwhile, if we were to go Ultimate Gohan with Super Hero Gohan, we do 508, which is actually a pretty considerable boost and a lot more than Buu Saga Gohan. So basically the takeaway from this is that Super Hero Gohan is likely built kind of on the bones of the Buu Saga Gohan, like the other adult Gohan, with them doing the same exact damage in base form and Super Saiyan. However, when he goes Ultimate, he does do more damage than Buu Saga Ultimate Gohan. There is a simple reason for this, however. It is because Ultimate Gohan from Buu Saga is only a 7-cost character, while Ultimate Gohan from Super Hero is a 8-cost character. So as I said, the cost does matter, but it kind of just affects the range of damage and not really like the exact damage they do. As I said, a lot of characters that are 4 costs fall into that 390 range, but just to show that it's not every single character, if we take Goten for instance and attack, we do 390. But the interesting thing is when Gohan both forms go Super Saiyan, it's 476, so they both do the exact same damage in base and also transform. However, if we transform with Goten, just to show that it's not like a range, he is also a 4-cost character that goes Super Saiyan and becomes a 5-cost. We only do 457, which is a significant decrease in power than both Gohans when they go Super Saiyan. Something interesting I noticed as well is that both base form Gohans actually do the same amount of damage with their rush attacks. So you see the 8375. If we were to switch to Buu Saga Gohan, and we do the exact same like rush super, obviously they're different, but you see they still do the same amount of damage. That's interesting because that is not the same for every character. Even characters that have the same amount of cost for the skill end up doing different damage range. So again, the takeaway is basically that Buu Saga Gohan and Super Hero Gohan are actually the exact same strength. Gohan really isn't washed up in this game, like it's not reflected in the gameplay. Gohan from Super Hero is just as strong as he was in the Buu Saga, until he becomes ultimate, and once he becomes ultimate he is even stronger, which makes sense because he's finally recaptured his power, so it does make sense that he would be significantly stronger. And if you're wondering how much Beast Gohan does per hit, is 546, so significantly stronger than he's ever gotten before. So for the second myth, Orange Piccolo actually has a special ultimate animation. So Orange Piccolo is an interesting character because he's the only character in the game at this point that can turn giant and then also shrink back to a smaller form. However, the one we're interested in right now is the giant. So if we were to attack Yamcha here, the poor bastard, with our ult, which the ult is basically like an uppercut kind of in front of Piccolo. If we were to hit this, you can see he kind of knocks him up in the air and then like smacks him with a Naruto move, kind of. He just kind of shoves that energy ball in his face. So the normal ult animation is pretty cool, you know, he hits him with a Rasengan. However, if you use the ult on a giant character like Cellmax, for instance, you actually get an extended version of the whole animation. Now that is a reference to moves that Piccolo does in the actual fight. So against Cellmax, he throws a couple kicks and punches that looks like that, and then a little later on throws the, I'm just gonna call it the Rasengan, because that's what it is. That's the Naruto move, right? But yeah, he throws one of those. So it's really cool that you get an extended version that is actually lore accurate. However, it doesn't actually have to be Cellmax, so it isn't like a character specific thing. If we take probably the most random ass giant character, Lord Slug here, and we hit with the ult, you actually still get the extended version of the animation. Whereas if we take Tiny Lord Slug, it's just the normal attack, it's just the quick little animation. So yeah, Orange Piccolo actually has an extended ult specifically for giant characters, when he's giant obviously, that goes a little more in detail with like moves he actually uses against Cellmax. So it's super cool. So for this next myth, I actually had to phone a friend, and that friend is a second controller. So this next one is that the Gamma barrier, which is something that both Gamma 1 and 2 have, cannot be broken by any attack in the game, which sounds like a bit of a ridiculous thing, but it's actually a really, really overpowered block, like insanely so. So when you think of some of the strongest attacks in the series, I would imagine something like the Spirit Bomb would probably come to mind. It's like the attack that isn't the Kamehameha. So I'm gonna throw this right at Gamma. But if I barrier, I mean, he said invincible, and like the proof is right there. It does absolutely nothing. If I decide to step it up to say Super Saiyan God, this is Super Goku, so pretty damn strong, and I try and hit him with my ult, once again he's invincible. He just doesn't take any damage. To show just how absolutely absurd this barrier is, I will do probably one of the strongest attacks in the game. I will do the Kaioken ult for Blue Goku. Nothing. Not even a scratch on him. And to take this to what is an absolute extreme limit, we're gonna throw Cellmax's ult, one of the strongest attacks in the game also, and one of the coolest animations. Nothing. It literally deletes it. So it's looking pretty good for the Gamma's android barrier to block any attack in the game. Also, it works with supers, just so you know it's not like an ult only thing. It really seems like it blocks any attack in the game, doesn't it? However, that doesn't mean that every single attack in the game can be blocked by it, even though it really does nullify any attack. So if we were to use Majin Vegeta's ult, which is an explosive wave type of attack, so it has, you know, long range, it sticks around for a while, and we try and barrier it, what you'll notice is it doesn't work. It doesn't even kind of block that. Now, even if we don't use an ult, some attacks actually can get through the barrier. For instance, if we use Super Destructive Wave and then block, we still get hit by it. So what is the difference between the attacks that we saw miss and the explosive wave attacks? Well, it's partially that the explosive wave attacks in this game are unbelievably busted. Okay, they just are. When they're ults or they're supers, but especially when they're ults, they're busted. That is because they don't just have like one point of contact. So the Spirit Bomb or the Cell Max move, or basically any attack we tested, they basically have one point of contact. It's why they sometimes miss. It's like when you hit them, the very first thing that it hits ends the attack. It does trigger an animation if it hits, but it ends the attack immediately. So the way the android barrier works is it is essentially a barrier around the Gammas that completely nullify any attacks that hit. However, it only does that for like the first attack that hits, and only for a certain amount of time. Explosive wave attacks, on the other hand, they don't only have one point of contact. They stick around for a few seconds and they have chances to connect multiple times with every hit. That's why like Majin Vegeta's ult is so good, because it sticks around for a while, long enough to outlast the animation and the nullify effect of the barrier, and still manages to break through. The same way with like any character destructive wave, because they are so broken. So whether or not the Gamma barrier can protect against any attack is actually both yes and no. As you just saw there, any attack that has a type of AoE, so like a explosive wave and also sticks around for more than one hit, actually can break the barrier. But it really isn't getting past the barrier, which is why I say it really can protect against any attack. Because any attack that makes contact with the barrier, no matter how strong, does get deflected or does get nullified. It is a nullification to any attack that hits it. However, there are just some supers and some ults that stick around for more than one attack, and some, like Kefla's here, sticks around for a long time and then also does the animation after. So you basically only need to land one attack out of however many frames that it can hit you. So characters like Majin Vegeta, Kefla, or any character with a destructive wave can break through it, but it's not really because they're breaking through it. They're actually just lasting their attack long enough to be able to get past the animation of the barrier. So really, the android barrier that the Gammas have is a complete nullification of any attack that hits it. That really is true. So the next one is that Beast Gohan is the only character that can hit a giant with a rush super. So an example of a rush super to show you is if I go to Goku here and I do Meteor Smash. This is the attacks that you charge towards the enemy, and some type of animation plays where you combo them. It's obvious that this wouldn't work for most giant characters because they just don't have the animation. Like you can't fit the animation perfectly into this like model. It's too big, it wouldn't work, right? It's the same reason why if you hit with some ults, it won't play the animation, but it will do like the damage, because they want it to still connect even if it doesn't play the whole thing. But with super rushes, there's just no way to really do it. However, if you take Beast Gohan and you land the attack with his actually does hit giant characters, which is because he was kind of made to be a giant killer, really, because of the superhero movie where, you know, he does land this attack on Cell Max. So if it didn't work on Cell Max, it'd be a little weird, right? However, like Orange Piccolo, this isn't something that's exclusive to Cell Max. That's just where like the lore accurate part of it comes in and why it works the way it does. So if we use this rush attack again against like Lord Slug, for instance, it does fully connect and do the exact same thing. Whereas if we did use a character like Goku and land a normal one, it wouldn't work. So Gohan's rush attack is, you know, a very, very rare attack where it actually can hit giants. It's incredibly rare. This is actually the same for his ult, with most rush ults cannot hit giants as well. Because again, it plays an animation. And it's just hard to get that animation to connect with every giant character, obviously, or get every animation that's meant for small characters or normal characters to work with giant characters. And just to show that this truly is something that is special to Beast Gohan, I have Ultra Instinct Goku here, who has a rush attack that teleports right in front and also is 4 costs and is also like a melee thing. And if I use this against Lord Slug, you'll see it just bounces right off. So Beast Gohan is special because he was made as a giant killer because of his role in the actual story, which is incredibly cool, and it's cool to have a character that is really good but is also made to fight giants. But the question was if Beast Gohan is the only character that can land those. So obviously a lot of characters can land their ultimates, as I said. If we use Vegeta, his overpowered ass explosive wave attack, that will connect, it will do a ton of damage. It will do, I think, all the damage that it would have done with the animation, it just doesn't do the animation. Although you could really do the animation for that one, but, you know, they didn't go into every character for that. However, that's not a rush attack, which is the question that we're trying to solve here. There actually is one other character in the game that can land a rush attack on a giant, and it is Super Saiyan 3 Goku. His ult is a rush attack, as you see, but it does make contact. And you actually see the full animation and it does the full damage, just like with Beast Gohan's. The interesting thing about it is because it's another example where it's lore accurate. So Goku does do that against Hirudegarn in the movie, which is escaping my brain right now. But that is a canon thing that he does. He hits him with the Dragon Fist. However, if we use our super, which is also a type of Dragon Fist, you know, it doesn't do anything. This is, again, something that is exclusive to Beast Gohan and Super Saiyan 3 Goku. So if we hit him with a Dragon Fist from, like, GT Goku, nothing. If we do the ult with Super Saiyan 4 Goku, which is, again, another ult rush attack Dragon Fist, it doesn't do anything. And that is because none of these attacks have canonically hit a giant. And of course, just to showcase it, this attack can hit any giant character. It does not matter who you are, what power level, whatever. So what this all means is that Beast Gohan is not the only character that can land a rush attack on a giant. He's just not. Super Saiyan 3 Goku is also able to do that. I do believe, at least in my testing, that Beast Gohan is the only character that is able to land a rush attack that is a super and not an ult. So again, it's kind of half true, half not. And it just shows that a lot of the moves' lore accuracy is incredibly important. So yeah, those were testing out some myths and Sparking Zero for the DLC. I thought those were fun. It's pretty cool to see all these very like minute details about something and actually test it out when the game is as detailed as this game is. Like it has so many small details. It would be possible to do this for so many other things. Tell me if you want to see this again. I liked it a lot.